Many people think that if you own the land, you can deal with the wildlife however you like, but that's exactly where people get caught out. Modern wildlife law protects far more species than most people realise, and old countryside practices can now lead to criminal offences. In this video, I'll explain how the law really works, from protected species and trapping through to fishing and hunting, and why understanding the rules matters before you act. Living on the road, waterways or off-grid in the UK, Dickie Dread. And this is part 43 in the video series, and we're on the second to last part of chapter 5, Weapons, Hunting and Rural Law. And today we'll look at pest control and protected species. So rural landowners often assume that any animal causing inconvenience can legally be shot or trapped. That is not how UK wildlife law works. Many species are protected under the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981, including protections applying to birds, nesting sites, bats, badgers and numerous other species. The Protection of Badgers Act 1992 creates additional offences relating specifically to badgers and their setts. This is another area where assumptions become dangerous. Digging out a set, disturbing nesting birds, or casually controlling wildlife without understanding species protection can create serious offences very quickly. Traps, snares and poisons. So traps and snares remain legal in some contexts, but they are heavily regulated. The law focuses largely on avoiding unnecessary suffering, using approved designs and preventing capture of protected species. Improvised traps, poorly monitored snares or indiscriminate trapping systems can create both criminal liability and animal welfare issues. Poisons and chemicals controls create further legal risks. The Control of Pesticides Regulation 1986 regulate the use of many substances sometimes wrongly used in informal pest control. Again, there is a difference between old countryside practices that still exist informally and what the law technically allows. Poaching and the game law. Many older rural hunting traditions now sit inside a complicated legal framework involving trespass, game rights and wildlife protection. The Game Act 1831 remains part of the historical basis of UK game law, while the Night Poaching Act 1828 and Poaching Prevention Act 1862 still provide powers related to illegal hunting and possession of game. Poaching is often romanticised within folklore and traveller culture, but legally it can involve trespass, the taking of protected species, firearms offences and night hunting offences. Modern policing may treat organised poaching very seriously, particularly where firearms, vehicles or commercial activity are involved. Fishing and the survival myth. Fishing appears simple until regulation enters the picture. In England and Wales, fishing freshwater with rod and line normally requires an Environmental Agency rod licence under the Salmon and Freshwater Fisheries Act 1975. This applies even to subsistence fishing, quiet rural rivers and private individuals catching small amounts for food. There may also be closed seasons, local bylaws, private fishing rights and protected species restrictions. Many people imagine fishing as a universal ancient right. In modern UK, it is instead a licensed and highly regulated activity. Now, I've missed out a section here, but I'm just going to carry on anyway. So it's dogs, hunting and older traditions. Traditional hunting practices sit in another legally sensitive area. The Hunting Act 2004 significantly restricted hunting wild mammals with dogs in England and Wales, though exemptions and ongoing controversies remain. Scotland operates under separate legislation through the Hunting and Dogs Scotland Act 2023. This remains one of the most politically and culturally divisive areas of rural law in the UK, with strong disagreement between field sports communities, animal welfare groups and traditional rural cultures. The important point for this book is simply that assumptions based on older countryside traditions may no longer reflect the current law. So owning land does not mean owning the wildlife that lives on it. If you're trying to live differently, this isn't just about wildlife. It's about understanding how the system actually works before discovering it the tough way. In the next video, which is the last part in this chapter, we'll look at self-defence and carrying weapons and the practical reality of all of these laws.